You look sick. You'd better not go to school today. Are you going out this evening? I'd better not. I have got a terrible cold. Even though we use the past had, the meaning is always present or future. You will also notice that had, better, is always followed by the infinitive without to. Active and passive voice. Voice is a grammatical category. It expresses whether the subject of the verb is the agent of the action, the active voice, or whether the subject of the verb is the object of the action, the passive voice. Example: cats ate the fish. Subject cats, verb ate, object fish. The doer of the action is the cats. The verb ate is in the active voice and is followed by the object. The fish was eaten by cats. The verb is eaten, subject fish. In this passive sentence, the subject is the fish. The subject in the active voice, cats, now becomes the object of the verb eaten. How to change the active voice to the passive one? A. Affirmative. Past simple. The plant released oxygen. Oxygen subject, released verb, the plant agent. The sentence becomes: oxygen was released by the plant. Present simple. The professor teaches the students. The students, the subject, the professor. The agent and teaches is the verb. The sentence becomes: the students are taught by the professor. Future simple. The group will present the report. The report is the subject, will present the verb, the group is the agent. The sentence becomes: the report will be presented by the group. Models. We have we must or can, could, may or might conserve our resources. Our resources is the subject, we the agent, and the verb is must, can, or could, may or might conserve. The sentence becomes: our resources must or can or could or might be conserved by us. When we turn an affirmative active sentence into a passive one, we go through important steps. 1. Move the subject of the active verb to the end of the sentence and put by in front of it. 2. Move the object of the active verb to the front of the sentence so that it becomes the passive subject. 3. Turn the verb from active to passive. You do this by adding a form of the auxiliary verb be and the past participle of the main verb. Interrogative. You have WH, which is the agent, the auxiliary, the subject, and the verb. When the auxiliary is was, the subject is the Kyoto Protocol, the verb sign. Sentence number 2. WH, who, the auxiliary, has been, the verb arrested by the police. Number 3, the WH is how, the auxiliary is, subject oxygen, the verb produced. The WH where, the auxiliary will, the subject the conference of global warming, the verb is be held. The agent what, the auxiliary should, must, can, be or could, the verb doing to protect the environment. The auxiliary was, the subject the treaty on gas emissions, the verb signed by the countries. The auxiliary has, the subject the treaty on oil shipping, the verb signed by all the parties. The auxiliary is, the subject the Amazon rainforest, the verb protected the government. The auxiliary will, the subject the next conference, the verb held in Algeria. Uses. We use the passive voice when A. We focus on the action rather than the performer of the action. Example, the next meeting on the conservation of animal species will be held in Algiers. B. Describing a process or how something works. Example, carbon dioxide is absorbed and oxygen is released by the plant during the day. At night, the process is reversed. C. The performer of the action is unknown, uninteresting, unimportant, or obvious. Example, thousands of acres of forest trees were burned. Example, the world's first geometrical plant was built in Italy. G. We want to avoid beginning a sentence with a complex subject. Example,